Before we get started in the Dharma talk, please join me in invoking the Buddha's name 3 times. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Dear Venerable Teacher, dear Sangha, good afternoon. We are continuing our discussion on the 10 fetters. The 10 fetters are the obstacles that we face on our journey of enlightenment. So far we've covered the first 5. Right? Okay, sorry. We were off last week, so my schedule is off. Okay. So today I'm going to attempt to go over the 6th and 7th fetter. The 6th fetter is the desire for rebirth in form realm, or desire for form, rupa raga. Rupa means form, raga means desire, and then the 7th is desire for a rebirth in formless realm, or formless desire, so arupa raga. And in Sanskrit, when we put a in front of a word, it makes it a negative. So rupa means form, and arupa means formless. So there are 2 ways to go about these 2 fetters. The first is through the Buddhist cosmology sense, through Buddhist cosmology understanding and knowing, just the knowledge of that. There's also the practical form. So we're going to go through both of them. So that makes sense. Well, I'll first start with the cosmological aspect of it. So Buddhist cosmology is extremely vast and it's extremely dense. I recently bought a book on Buddhist cosmology because it's very rare to find any books. But anyway, the one book that I found was like this big. I'm like, oh great, so you're basically telling me I'm never going to get through this entire book. So that's fine, whatever. But in Buddhist cosmology, to kind of dumb it down a little bit, there are 31 realms of existence in Buddhist cosmology. Our standard 6 realms are the bottom 6. Or basically we're in the dumpster as humans. And so the form realm, on the cosmological level, is essentially the desire to be reborn in a form realm. So in the form realm of existence, there are 16 realms. Realms 12 through 27. Are the form realms. And in these realms, through Buddhist meditation, we're able to kind of ascend to, or get to, or be reborn into through meditation practice. Specifically, the deep absorption meditation, which are the jhanas. Right? There are 8 jhanas. These are high levels of consciousness. These are deep meditation factors. And so the first 4 of the 8 are for the material realm. The second set of 4 is for the formless. So the first 4 is typically the 4 levels of jhana that we would typically, as practitioners, attempt to attain. Of course, it is extremely difficult. It's even more difficult for lay practitioners, because jhana practice is extremely intense and it is almost impossible to attain even the first level outside of a long retreat. Most meditation masters or Dharma famous meditation teachers will tell you that is minimum has to be 3 months of of continuous practice of meditation. A 3-month retreat is necessary, bare minimum. Anyway, we won't go into that. But as we practice this concentration meditation, right? Samatha is concentration meditation. We achieve these levels of these jhanas, right? And through our practice, we are also fighting against the 5 hindrances, right? So we went over these 5 hindrances during meditation classes, right? So sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness, and doubt. Those are the 5 hindrances. And so through our meditation practice, this is no longer my favorite. Through the meditation practice, we start to suppress those hindrances, right? And we don't necessarily have to eradicate them entirely, but they need to be suppressed enough where they no longer become hindrances, right? And as or when those hindrances become suppressed, then 5 other factors called jhanic factors arise in its place, right? And these jhana factors are pretty much the signs that we are entering this deep state of meditation. And these are also in sequential levels. So it starts with initial application, sustained application, and then we go to rapture, joy, and equanimity. These are the states of mind. These are the factors that are saying, hey, you're almost there. You're at the door. Now you just have to unlock it to walk in. Once you unlock it to walk in, you've entered the first level of jhana. And then as we progress through these jhana levels, as we get higher, those factors then also become to disappear. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. It's like, why am I losing these good factors as you go up in levels? But as you go up in levels, you no longer need these 5 factors that are helping you sustain that concentration. Does that make sense? As we, work, for example, if you start a new job, maybe the first few months you need assistance, you constantly need procedures and instructions to do things, but after a while, you no longer need those tools, right? So it's the same thing with our meditation practice, right? Anyone that comes, either you're new to meditation or you've been meditating for a while, one of the most common methods of meditation is meditating on the breath, right? There's a practice called anapanasati. Anapanasati means mindfulness of breathing. And these are tools. This is a tool that we use to help develop and sustain and to perfect our meditation practice. But after a while, once you've been practiced enough, then you no longer need those tools. You can let those tools go, right? So same thing with these jhana factors. So that's the cosmological side of it. This is my chart on the 31 levels of existence. We're down here. We're the first 6. We're the, what are those fish called that eat the bottom stuff? What? Whatever. Bottom feeders. We're bottom feeders. I hate to say that, but minnows? Yeah, those ones that eat the bottom stuff. Okay, we're minnows in the realm of existence, right? The form realm, the form realm doesn't start until level 12. So level 12 through 27, these are the form realms. And then the formless are the last 4 on the top. So we have a way to go, right, to get up there. But on the more practical side, the desire for form, in this case, is simply attachment to material form, right? So the other fetter is desire sensual desire, right? These are desires through our senses. We want to hear beautiful things. We want to see beautiful things. We want to taste delicious food and drink, right? We want to touch things that are pleasant, right? These are sense attachments, sense desires. But this is more specifically to material desire. The desire to want things, I want to hold on to things. Even more specifically, the desire that we believe make our lives better or more enjoyable, right? This is material either by money, food, objects. You want a big house, you want a nice car, you want a great job, etc., etc. These are the things that hold you and give you the idea that my life is good. I like this. I want to continue this, right? And so you have a desire to continue on that same path of materiality and an attachment to materials. And so at the end of your life, you know what? You say to yourself, I kind of want this again. So you already put in your consciousness that you want to be reborn again to have the exact same materials that caused you to be happy in this life, right? Which is incorrect. That is an illusion of what we are trying to escape from. We can also, as an example, why won't you say? An example, for instance, let's say you're a Marvel fan, right? There's a new Marvel movie, right? There's the 10,000th movie that just came out, right? So you go to the theater, you sit down, right? You're waiting, there's a blank screen, right? You don't have desire to be at the movies necessarily, or you don't have a desire for the screen. You have the desire of what is going to be on the screen, right? And so if the movie is playing and halfway through the screen shuts off, what happens? People start yelling and booing and doing this and that, right? So your attachment isn't to the movie, but it's through the object that's on the screen that creates the movie. And this is in literally anything else that we do in life, right? If we take a statue or a picture of the Mona Lisa, for instance, right? The painting is not a real person. The Mona Lisa is not a real woman in the picture, right? It's just an object that's on a canvas. So it may get destroyed, the form may go away, right? What happens then? Then feelings of unpleasantness arise. We're all sad. I mean, maybe not really, because who really cares? At least unless you're a historian or an art lover. But if it disappears, right, there's all these unpleasant feelings that come along with it, because the object that we are attaching to disappeared. But in some cases, right, it could be reproduced. Someone can make an exact same copy, right? Another part of it is of course, financial, right? What is enough compensation to replace this Mona Lisa? Or anything else in life, right? But aside with that, or along with that, is just the idea that you're attached to the original piece. So even if there's an exact same copy, right, you don't have that same feeling of love or affection toward it, because you're like, this is the fake, this isn't the real one, right? That's kind of like that in everything else we do. But anyway, besides the point. Seventh fetter, the desire for rebirth in formless realm, arupa raga, right? Arupa here again means without form, or without body. So in the formless realms, beings are born without a physical body and with only mind states. And so as we're meditating, or as meditators, right, we wish to be born in a formless realm because it's a place of blissful experience with no attachments to any type of physical object or physical form. And then we achieve that realm of existence through the jhanas 5 through 8. 5 through 8. Yes. And at this level, this is where the 5 jhanic factors disappear. And then now we start contemplating on the formless states, the 4 formless meditative states of deep absorption. which is the sphere of boundless or infinite space, the sphere of boundless or infinite consciousness, the sphere of nothingness, and the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. And if we want to believe in the Buddhist cosmology, life in these realms are extremely long. So there's a desire to be in these realms, even the four lower realms of form existence. There's a desire to be born there because the lifespan is very long. It's still a very blissful place. The 16 realms that we would be born in the material world, these are almost like heavenly realms, right? You're still enjoying life. You still have attachments and desires, but there's almost very little suffering, right? And because there's very little suffering, we have a very long lifespan. As an example of how long these lifespans are, according to the cosmology, is so in one of the higher realms of existence, there's 16,000 celestial years. That's the average lifespan. And one human year is equal to 1,600 celestial years. So in this realm of existence, you will live up to 9,216,000 years. That's a long time. I don't even want to live that long. I don't even want to live past 50 sometimes. But when we start to study this, and when you start to truly develop your meditation practice, and you truly do enter these jhanic absorption factors, you'll notice that when you're in jhana, time moves differently, right? If you're into science and into space stuff, we may have heard of time dilation, right? It's kind of similar when we're in jhana absorption. Because when you're in jhana absorption, if you're especially on the higher levels, hours and hours and hours can go past, but it would feel like 10 minutes to you, right? It feels like that. It feels short because of the 5 jhanic factors. These are the factors that allow you to be in such a state of joy and comfortability that we lose some of our senses. And so when we truly enter the first jhana, for instance, one of the first things that disappear is the sense of hearing, right? And then as you go up in levels, other senses start to disappear. And so sometimes in my longer sessions, people walk in and out, and I would have no idea. And people are like, did you hear? These guys hear people walking in the attic for some reason. Ghosts, whatever. I don't hear it, but they're crazy. But the point is when you're normally meditating and you're not yet skilled enough where these types of distractions become real distractions, they take you away from your object of meditation, right? It breaks that concentration. It breaks that level of absorption that's allowing you to advance, right? But as you start to practice more, as you start to develop and to advance your meditation, and you get more skilled in concentration and knowing how to identify distractions, how to identify things that arise, feelings, perceptions, ideas, and anything else, it'll be easier for you to simply acknowledge and let go versus hanging on to those distractions, right? If, for instance, you're meditating and the door opens, a normal person would ask themselves, who's at the door? Why are they late? Why that is disturbing my meditation? Who do they think they are walking in here 20 minutes late, 30 minutes late, right? You start to entertain those types of thoughts. You start to blame them for your loss of concentration, right? You start making stories. You start making excuses for the distraction. Whereas what you should be doing is as soon as you hear the door open, you make the acknowledgement that the door has opened, right? We use labeling very often in meditation. So instead of creating a story of who and why the door opened, you simply acknowledge that the door has opened. Make the notation, make the mental note of door or sound. That's it. So that's all what it is. It's not the story you give to the sound or to the door. It's not the excuse that you're making for the sound or for the door. It's simply something happening, which is the door has opened or you heard the sound. That's it. That is the reality. The reality is not the story you make up of the sound or what it is, because you don't know. You do not know until you actually look around and ask them, hey, why are you late? What are you doing here? Right? But until then, you don't know. So why are you making up a story? Why are you making up excuses for it? You're just feeding fake news to your consciousness. You're making up stories. And these are the type of things that cause us to suffer in real life. Same thing with road rage. I use this example a lot because some of you know that I hate driving. And anyway, point is if you're driving along the road, right, someone cuts you off, what is our typical normal reaction? Anger, right? We're upset. We want to retaliate sometimes, right? We want to show our vengeance side of how dare you cut me off. So now you want to speed up and cut them off, right? Maybe you're flipping off, maybe you're cursing at them, maybe you're waving a gun or a bat or whatever it is, right? Just say you cut them off and you do all this stuff. What does that achieve? Nothing besides maybe an accident, right? Maybe you hurt yourself, you hurt others. Maybe you kill yourself, maybe you kill others. Is that worth that 2 seconds of retaliation that you just desperately needed to have? No. That retaliation comes up because of the fake stories we create for this person that cut us off. Like why if someone walked into the door late, we don't know why they cut us off. Someone in the car could be pregnant and just waiting to get to the hospital. Someone could be dying, right? You don't know. But we choose to make this person a bad person because they did something that is unsatisfactory for us. We're retaliating because we're feeding our ego. It's very egotistic to want to retaliate and to cut someone off, right? Because part of that is like, how dare you cut me off? Who do you think you are? Don't you know who I am? My time is valuable. Where I have to go is valuable. Why are you cutting me off? Right? But in reality, we're no one. We're no one special. But our ego feeds itself with education, the job, the type of house we have, the type of car we have, the type of friends we have. All this feeds into this egotistic soup that we have in our mind to make us feel something more than what we really are, which is we are simply beings of the universe. That's it. So the 6th and 7th fetters are also tied to the 5 skandhas, the 5 aggregates. And so desire for form, realm, the rupa raga, is linked to the first skandha, or the first aggregate of form. And then the desire for formless are linked to the other 4 skandhas, or aggregates: feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. So even when you sit, right, and you're thinking, the actual process of thinking is formless. read the commentary or stories of beings that have been enlightened, like Tathagata, for instance. Tathagata is one of the titles of the Buddha. And in that definition of Tathagata also means thoughtless. There's no thinking. So as an enlightened being, there is no thinking. So what are you thinking about? You're thinking of what do you want, what do you don't want, where you want to go, what do you want to eat, who you want to see? None of this is important. But there are also types of thinking that are okay, because there's a sense of detachment from that type of thought, of thinking, right? Because if there's a detachment, you're not for or against whatever content is in your mind, whatever you're thinking of, right? There's no desire or aversion toward it. And we can think of things like what's a detached idea? Math or science, right? As long as you don't give value or form to numbers, for example, right? If it's just simple math, instead of thinking I have 5 apples that needs to be divided amongst 3 people, that's attaching form, that's attaching apples and people to the numbers. Or you can just simply say 3 divided by 5, right? You don't have to add any flavor to it. It doesn't need any flavor. The flavor is just something that we either have desire for, or we're averse toward, right? But if we take that if we take that away, then there's simply just reality. There's no apples, there's no people, there's just 3 divided by 5. Make sense? I think, I hope. Okay. Did I cover ill will? I did? I feel like I didn't. Okay. I was like, did I skip one? I have to go back the videos and double check. As the chart here shows, and for those of you that have not been here for the earlier teachings, the 10 fetters are grouped in 2 sections. The first 5 are considered the smaller fetters, because they're the easier ones to kind of weed out. Not really easy, but easier than the last 5. And so each eradication of fetter gives us the opportunity to move closer toward specific levels of enlightenment. So there are 4 basic levels of enlightenment. There's the Sotapadana, Sakadagamin, Anagamin, and Arhat. So basically the stream enter, the once returner, non-returner, and the Arhat. The Arhat is a being that is fully enlightened. And so when we eradicate or cut off the first 3 fetters, we've attained stream entry, Sotapadana. And at the 4th and 5th fetter, it is weakened at the Sakadagamin level. So you still have desire and doubt as a once returner, but they are not strong enough to make you do bad things or make bad decisions, basically. And they're only eradicated at the Anagama level, at the non-returner. And then the last 5 fetters are only eradicated once you've achieved full enlightenment of Arhat. And so there's a long journey for most of us to get here. But it is not impossible. What requires is our true dedication to the practice. One of the reasons why enlightenment is so difficult, especially in our day and age, right? Because back in the Buddhist time, the majority of his monks and nuns were enlightened. The majority of them were, right? And even lay disciples. A lot of them, there's a lot of famous stories of some of his lay disciples who've attained at least the first level of enlightenment. And some even the second or the third. So it's not a rare thing. It just requires a specific type of energy, a specific type of motivation, right? But it's not a desire or motivation necessarily for enlightenment, right? Because that's still a desire. Because if we have a desire specifically to become enlightened, then we may skip over steps. We may overlook specific techniques or teachings, right? Because we're so focused on the finish line that we're avoiding everything else that's going to help us along the path, right? Just like racers, right? If you're running in the marathon, they have water break, not necessarily water breaks, but they, grab water and stuff on the way, right? They need that. Otherwise, they're going to pass out halfway through before they reach the end, right? Likewise, if you skip taking water breaks or food breaks along the path of enlightenment, you're going to pass out and die before you can even get to the final finish line. And according to the cosmology, if you're in meditation, if you're in one of the jhanic levels of whether it's the form realm or the formless, if you die in meditation when in those realms, then you will be reborn in whatever realm that you were meditating in. This is why the majority of monastics, of monks and nuns, when they're on their deathbed, they die in meditation. So they die while they sit in meditation, because they're in one of these jhanic levels. They're in one of these realms. These realms are able to get to in our waking life, right? Depending on what you want to believe and how you want to believe cosmology in this point. But we can't necessarily deny, even with science, that there are different stages and realms of reality, of existence, right? And so we're able to attain that through meditation. Not permanently, though, right? Because even if you die and you become reborn in one of these levels, you're still a victim of karma. So you may have an extremely incalculable lifespan, right? Billions and hundreds of millions of years, but eventually you still have to die and be reborn. And according to what karma you still have at that point, you can you'll be reborn in the realm according to your karma. Okay, I'm over my time. I should have broken that up, but that's okay. You get the gist, right? Practice is what I'm trying to say. Be diligent, be focused, dedicated. Okay. What questions do you have? Concerns, emotional outbursts? Yes, sir. What is the lowest and highest realm? The lowest realm is the hell realm. The highest realm is the realm of perception or non-perception. Yes, the realm of perception or non-perception. The lowest is the hell realm. A note that we need to make about these realms is, especially in the standard 6 realms of existence that we would typically read and study in our practice, right? So the 3 lower realms of hell, animal, and hungry ghost. And the 3 higher realms are human, devas, and asuras. don't think of these as physical places or physical things, right? Clearly, if we look at the animal realm, animals exist, they're real, right? But these realms, and all these realms, they're just simply states of mind, states of being. And so when we think of the hell realm for existence, we're thinking of the mindset or how our lives are now. Sometimes, we are in a mood or something bad happens, we're like, oh my God, I'm in hell. This is hell, right? This is a hell realm. And the other realms, like animals, this is when we have the characteristics of animals, right? The selfish, the territorial, they desire or they crave for enjoyment of the senses, right? They're always wanting food, they're always wanting to drink and eat, right? But even the higher realms, for like Asura, which sometimes is translated to like a demigod or a titan for some reason, I don't know why. But even though this is a higher realm of existence, and this person in this mindset is someone that's pretty fortunate, right? They're well off, maybe they could be rich, they could be famous, but at the same time, even though they are fortunate in their material life, they are suffering internally. They have total mental suffering, but they're also craving for more. So even though they have everything they want, because they're mentally suffering, they're thinking, if I get more, it'll assuage the suffering that I'm going through, right? So the $1 billion that they have is not enough. They want more billions. They think another 5 billion will assuage their suffering. Or they want more houses, they want more cars, they want more trips, etc., right? So these are states of mind. And so I'm going to go through all 6. But if you go and study the 6 realms of existence and you see what are the characteristics for each realm, you can apply those into your life. So in many of the sutras and many of the discourses, the Buddha tells us that you are constantly going through this cycle of birth and death. Basically mean that you will go through all 6 realms of existence throughout your day or throughout your life, right? And so don't think of these places as physical, right? But these are just states of mind. The Buddha used these types of words like animals and hells and ghosts not to give a picture, but to also to associate what that picture represents, right? And so for a hungry ghost, for instance, is someone that's also craving material stuff. It's craving things and hiding it from others. It's throwing people under the bus for it, maybe, right? Maybe you're trying to gain a promotion, but you're talking bad about someone else that's also in the run for it, right? You're throwing them under the bus. You're making them look bad, all for your self-gain. Right? This is a characteristic of a hungry ghost. It is someone that is like an asura who, even though they don't have everything they want, but they'll do anything to get what they want. And sometimes this means doing things illegally, right? Doing things that are harmful to yourself and to others, etc., etc. Okay, I'm gonna stop. Any other questions?
So there's no physical hell realm? Because, like we discussed, I should clarify that his sutra discusses the reaching very vividly, and that is just a state of mind. There's no physical realm to go to. If your bad karma outweighs the good karma.
I don't know if there's a physical hell realm or not. I'll let you know if I get there. But that's not important. Why is it important to know? Why is it important to believe these realms to be physical or mental? Why is it important? Why does it matter if hell is real physically or mentally. What does it matter? Whether you're there physically or mentally, you're still hellish. You're still in hell. So what difference does it make?
And the book, it describes unable to find a way out of yourself. So for me, that's whenever I'm in suffering, I can't connect my way out. I'm in hell.
Right.
And then hopefully later that mind state changes and I come to my senses. Out that's where so I think we're all just get moving along these mind states all day. So to your point, the question is what's the difference between suffering terribly in your mind and suffering physically with your body? I mean, there's no point in asking. They're both harmful.
Right.
Usually they happen together, not always.
Right. The majority of our suffering is mental anyway. Right? Not getting what you want. Well, Buddha describes 8 sufferings, right? Suffering of birth, sickness, aging and death, suffering from not getting what you want, suffering of getting things that you don't want, suffering of being away from loved ones, and the suffering that are caused by the 5 skandhas, or the 5 aggregates, right? But none of those are necessarily physical besides the last one of the aggregates of form. Otherwise, all the other sufferings are, for the most part, mental. Not getting what you want. That's mental suffering. I don't want this bowl. I wanted the bigger one. I don't want the black book. I wanted the brown book. Right? Or being away from loved ones. Sometimes you either move away, maybe they pass away, maybe something happens, right? Expectations are suffering. I always emphasize expectations, to never have expectations. Expectations are evil. I'm sorry? That's right, exactly. And that's the antidote to our suffering, which is once we get to ignorance, is to the recognition, the realization that everything is impermanent. So the suffering that you're going through, the hell that you're going through right now, is impermanent. It shan't last forever. It may last for a very long time, but a very long time does not mean forever. But it's also important, and this is why we practice meditation and mindfulness, is so that when we are in these different states of existence, of these realms, whether we're in hell or the animal or asura, deva, whatever it is, part of our practice is to recognize and see where we are, that what we are going through right now is suffering. It's suffering. This is happening, that is happening. You're being as specific as possible so that you can recognize the factors that are going into the suffering, right? Because everything is cause and effect. Every cause has an effect, and every effect has a cause. Nothing just happens out of nothing, right? And so when we're suffering, a lot of times we're like, oh, I'm suffering because I'm having a bad day. But why are you having a bad day? You're blaming the entire day when you were probably asleep for half of it? That doesn't make any sense. So part of our realization, part of enlightenment, is to recognize and see the factors, the specific factors that are causing us to suffer, right? This goes back to one of my meditation methods called the why meditation. When you are basically putting yourself in a what is it called? Interrogation room. And you're interrogating yourself. Why am I suffering? I'm suffering because this happened. Why did this happen? It's because this happened, or this other person came, or this other person did this, whatever it is. You continually ask yourself why, until you get to the very exact core reason of that suffering. Because until you get there, everything else is just an excuse. Everything else is excuses. Right? I'm suffering because I saw an ex today, or my ex texted me. Now I'm in a bad mood. Why? It doesn't make sense. There's a reason why you don't like something or someone, right? So we have to get to that core reason. And as soon as you get to the core reason, now you're like, okay, I know exactly what the problem is. Now it's your job to do something about it. Whether you have to, if it's a person, for instance, maybe you have to unfriend them, maybe you have to distance yourself from them, maybe get rid of them from your life altogether, whatever it may be. The answer and the choice is yours. But until you get to that core reason, you're going to continue to suffer. So that's why we always, and literally probably every Buddhist book, it emphasizes mindfulness. Because mindfulness and meditation are the only ways to get to the core reasons of our suffering. And until then, we're going to continue suffering because all we're doing is creating excuses as to why we're suffering, instead of actually facing the suffering itself. Okay, I'm going to end this because we are way past time. So we will transfer the merit and then go to chanting. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. For any positive karmic action we've accumulated here today, we wish to transfer the merits of all sentient beings and wish them full enlightenment. Chant the General Service, page 7.
Inviting the bell. Buddhist
Speech and mind in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Listen, listen, this wonderful brings me back to my true home.
incense offering. In
gratitude we offer this incense to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas throughout space and time. May it be fragrant as earth herself, reflecting careful efforts, our wholehearted mindfulness, and the fruit of understanding slowly ripening. May we and all beings become Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. May we awaken from forgetfulness and realize our true home.
opening verse. The incense.
And the censer now is burning all the Dharma realm in every place. Auspicious clouds appearing, our sincere intention thus fulfilling, as all Buddhas now show their perfect body. Homage to the incense cloud canopy, Bodhisattva and great Bodhisattvas.
Verses for bowing, we bow together. Om.
Eternally abiding Buddhas, the supreme Dharma and sagely Sangha throughout the Dharma realm and the realm of entities and 3 periods of time.
Homage
To the fundamental teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Maitreya, honored future Buddha, Manjushri, great wisdom, Bodhisattva, universal great conduct, Bodhisattva, all Dharma guarding Deva, glorious mountain assembly of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
homage
To Amitabha Buddha, the land of ultimate bliss, Avalokiteshvara, compassion Bodhisattva, great strength Bodhisattva, earth store great vow Bodhisattva, and the assembly of great pure sea-like Bodhisattvas.
Please sit down. The great compassion mantra. Namo
Great compassionate Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Namo great compassionate Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Namo great compassionate Buddhas and Bodhisattvas.
Namo Ratna
Sattva Namo Vastava Namo Bhagama Vitato Tadyata Om Avaloke Lokate Karate Dihiri Mahabodhisattva Sarva Sarva Madamada Mahi Mahi Hridayam Koro Koro Karma Doro Doro Vishati Mahavishati Dara Dara Dirini Shvaraya Chara Chara Mama Vimara Muktilehi Yehi Shina Shina Asham Prashari Prashaya Horo Horo Mara Horo Horo Re Sara Siri Siri Soro Soro Bodhiya Bodhiya Bodhaya Bodhaya Maitreya Narakindi Krishanina Vayamana Swaha Siddhaya Swaha Mahasiddhaya Swaha Siddhayogi Shvaraya Swaha Narakindi Swaha Maranara Swaha Sirasimha Mokaya Swaha Sarva Mahasiddhaya Swaha Chakra Siddhaya Swaha Padmakasaya Swaha Narakindi Vagadaya Swaha Bhavari Sankaraya Swaha Namo Ratnatrayaya Namo Arya Varokiteshvaraya Swaha Om Siddhyanto Mantrapadaya Swaha.
The Dhamma
Body is bringing morning light in concentration. My heart is at peace. I have smiled is my lips. This is a new day, and I vow to go through it in mindfulness. The sun of wisdom has risen, shining in every direction. Noble Sangha diligent, bring your mind into meditation. Namo Shakyamunaye Bodhaya. Namo Shakyamunaye Bodhaya. Namo Shakyamunaye Bodhaya.
First is opening a sutra. The unsure
As profound and wonderful Dharma is difficult to encounter in hundreds of millions of eons. I now see and hear it, receive and uphold, and I vow to fathom the Tathagata's true meaning. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.
touching the earth, the one who is bound.
The one who is bound to are both by nature
through ignorance,
awakening our hearts and our minds. Manjushri, the Bodhisattva of great understanding, to whom we bow in gratitude.
working mindfully,
Fully working joyfully for the sake of all beings. Samantabhadra, the Bodhisattva of great action, to whom we bow in gratitude.
responding
To suffering, serving beings in countless ways. Lokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of great compassion, to whom we bow in gratitude.
seed of
Awakening and loving kindness in children, sprouts, and all beings. Maitreya, the Buddha to be, to whom we bow in gratitude.
showing
The
the
way fearlessly and compassionately, the stream of all our ancestrality, to whom we bow in gratitude.
the Dhamma
Is deep and lovely. We now have a chance to see it and practice it. We vow to realize its true meaning.
of the Paraparamita, the Bodhisattva
Bodhisattva Avalokita, while moving in the discourse of Prajnaparamita, shed light on the five skandhas and found them equally. And after this penetration, he overcame ill-being, listen, Shariputra. Emptiness, emptiness is form, form is not other than emptiness, emptiness is not other than form. The same is true with feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Shariputra, all dharmas are marked with emptiness. They are neither produced nor destroyed, neither defiled nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing. Therefore, in empty there is neither form nor feelings, no perception nor mental formations, nor conscious, no eye or ear or nose or tongue nor body or mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, no objects of mind, no realms of element, no interdependent origins, and no extinction of them, no ill-being, no cause of ill-being, no end of ill-being, and no path, no understanding, no attainment, because there is no attainment. The Bodhisattva's ground in Prajnaparamita, find no obstacles for their minds. Having no obstacles, they overcome fear, liberating themselves forever from illusion and realizing perfect. All Buddhas in the past, present, and future arrive at Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore, one should know that perfect understanding is the highest mantra, the unequaled mantra, the destroyer of ill-being, the incorruptible truth. The mantra of Prajnaparamita should therefore be proclaimed. Gate, gate, para, gate, para, samgate, bodhi, swaha, gate, gate, para,
invoking Bodhisattva's name. We invoke
your name, Avalokiteshvara. We aspire to learn your way of listening in order to help relieve the suffering. And though you know how to listen in order to understand, we invoke your name in order to practice listening with all our attention. Open-heartedness, we will sit and listen without any prejudice. We will sit and listen without judging or reacting. We will sit and listen in order to understand. We will sit and listen so attentively that we will be able to hear what the other person is saying and also what is being left undone. We know that just by listening deeply, we already alleviate a great deal of pain and suffer in the other person.
we invoke
Your name, Manjushri, we aspire to learn your way, which is to be still and to look deeply into the heart of things and into the hearts of people. We will look with all our attention and open-heartedness. We will unprejudiced eyes. We will look without judging or reacting. We will look deeply so that we will be able to see and understand the roots of suffering through the impermanent and selfless nature of all that. We will practice your way of using the sword of understanding to cut through the bonds of suffering, ourselves and other species.
we invoke
Your name, Samanta Bhadra. We aspire to practice your vow to act with the eyes and heart of compassion to bring joy to one person in the morning and to ease the pain of one person in the afternoon. We know that the happiness of others is our own happiness, and we aspire to practice joy on the path of service. We know that every word, every look, every action, every smile can bring happiness to others. We know that if we practice wholeheartedly, we ourselves may become an inexhaustible source of peace and joy, and for all species.
we invoke
Your name, Shiti Garbha. We aspire to learn your way of being present where there is darkness, suffering, oppression, and despair. By hope, relief, and liberation to those places, we are determined not to forget or abandon those in desperate
the three of you, we bow together. I take refuge
I take refuge in the way of understanding and of love. I take refuge in the community that lives in harmony and awareness.
dwelling in
The refuge of Buddha, I clearly see the path of light and beauty in the dwelling in the refuge of Dharma. I learn to open many doors on the path of transformation. Dwelling in the refuge of Sangha, shining light that supports me, keeping my practice free of obstruction.
taking refuge
In the Buddha, in myself, I aspire to help all people recognize their own awakened nature, realizing the mind of taking refuge in the Dharma. In myself, I aspire to help all people fully master the ways of practice and walk together on the path of liberation, taking refuge in the Sangha. In myself, I aspire to help all people build fourfold communities to embrace all beings and support their transformation.
sharing the merit, reciting
the sutras, practicing the way of awareness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to share the fruits with all beings. We vow to offer tribute to parents, teachers, friends, and numerous beings who give guidance and support along the path. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Also wanted to announce that our summer retreat is also coming up soon, so it'll be on July 8th. We're going to have a full day retreat from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to be our 8 precepts retreat. This year's theme is the recipe for happiness, so we'll see what our ingredients entail, but registration is on our website. And again, that's going to be July 8th. Yes, July 8th, Saturday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Namo Shakyamuni.